The learning is Nishmas Etta Ahuva bas Yaakov. Kesubos Perik Hey Mishna Daled Hamakdish Maisi Yidei Ishtay. If someone is makdish the Maisi Yadayim of his wife, that means if his wife has a job and she has a salary, she gets paid, she's getting something out of her work, and he is makdish those items or that money, it is not chal. Harezu oisav v'cheles. She still gets to keep the profit from her Maisi Yadayim and using that for food. The Gemara has two pshatim in this, either because an Isha is able to tell her husband, Eini nizaynis ve'ena oisa. We learned that mizaynis is tachas Maisi Yadayim, so she could say, don't feed me mizaynis, and I get to keep my Maisi Yadayim, so therefore he has no right to be makdish those Maisi Yadayim. Or, according to the Mandamar that argues on that, Reish Lakish, he will say that the Mishnah is talking about a case that he's not feeding her. And in a case where he was feeding her, then he would have a right to be makdish the Maisi Yadayim. The Seif of the Mishnah, it says HaMoiser, if he's makdish the Moiser Maisi Yadayim, that means the amount that she's working more than the amount that she's needs for her mizainis, that extra amount he's makdish. So over here, the Gemara has two pshatim. We're just going to say one of them. We're talking about over here, la'achar misa, after she dies. So she now, it's not negay anymore to say, eini nzaynis ve'eini yaisa. So after she dies, is a chal or nachal, or meir oimer hektish, because he holds other makdish davar shaloi b'lo'ilam, or b'yechan asandlo or mechulim, because he holds other makdish davar shaloi b'lo'ilam. And this meiser is not yet here at the time that he's makdish it, so therefore it's considered a davar shaloi b'lo'ilam. Mishnah Hey, Eilu Malacha Sheisha Oiseh L'Bayla. There's 7 malachas that a woman is mechuyev to do for her husband. Techenes, she has to grind for him. Ba'oifa, and she bakes for him. Mechabesa, she does the laundry. Mevashela, she cooks. Menikes b'no, she has to nurse her son. Metzeres lehamita, which Rashi in the Gemara explains means the type of making a bed that's hard, that's a tircha, like kfiyas hamita. She has to work with wool, like to make clothes. So those are the 7 malachas. But let's say she was rich, so she brought in enough money to get a shivcha to do these jobs. Then she doesn't have to do the first 3 jobs. The Gemara asks, obviously, kasha is, why don't you say that the shivcha should replace her? So the Gemara answers it, and this step you could ask on the next few lines of the Gemara of the Mishnah also. Shtayim eina mevashelas ve'eina menigas benov. She was rich enough to bring in 2 maids, so then she doesn't have to do another 2 malachas, the cooking and menigas benah. So she's only 2 left. Shalosh, if she brought in enough money to get 3 maids, so then eina matzas la'amita ve'eina oiseh b'tzemer. Then she doesn't have to do any of the 7 malachas. Arba, if she brought in 4 maids, then yesheves b'katara, she could sit on her throne. So what's the difference between 3 and 4? So Taisus, according to one pshat, explains because even though she didn't have to do the 7 malachas, but there were small malachas ketanas in the bayis that she would have had to done with 3 maids. But if she has 4 maids, then she doesn't have to do anything. And the Gemara brings that there's a shita Reb Chia that argues and says, Ein isha l'yayfe, ein isha l'banam, and an isha is not mechuyev to do. So it seems like in the Gemara it doesn't have to do the 7 malachas, but Taisus over there explains she just doesn't have to do techenes va'ifo minikes bena, the malachas that make her yoifi look shvacher, ruins her looks. But oisa b'tzemer, that she would have to do because Avad, he doesn't argue on the halacha of Maisi Yadayim tachas mezainis. Rebbe Lazar Oimer afilu chnisa loy meya shivchis, even if she brought in 100 maids, koifa lastis b'tzemer, she still would have to work with the wool. Why? Because if she has no job, it's going to lead to znus. If a man makes a neder that he doesn't want his wife to work, we force him to divorce her, and he would have to pay the ksuva. Because not doing any work makes a person crazy. The Gemara explains the difference between the last mandamar that said mevili de zima znus and mevili de shima, which is craziness, is if she is playing games with dogs, so then there is a chashash of zima, but there's no chashash of going crazy. One last gemara that will speak out is that even if she brought in 4 maids, where it says Yeshavs Pekadar, that she doesn't have to do any malacha, the Gemara says it's a Eitzah Tova that she should still do malachas that bring chiva between the wife and the husband, like pouring a cup for her or matzas le'amida. So this means being priestess sadin, not a davar shetircha, making the beds. And the third one is rechatzas le'pana yad v'raglo, she washes his face and his feet.